Fabrizio Romano has dropped a transfer bomber, some big developments in the Gyokeres case, and this could be a good thing for Manchester United, pushing Manchester United to speed up the Mbeumo deal. Again, the player telling Spurs he's not rejecting them, but his preference is Manchester United. The second bid for Mbeumo, what is the latest on that? What could that offer be? And will Brentford accept that offer? Ekitike, I thought it was paper talk. I wasn't sure about the reliability of United and Ekitike. The breaking story from Florian Plettenberg yesterday has been confirmed as true by Romano. We're in for Ekitike, learning of Gyokeres' preference for Arsenal, now moving for Ekitike. Amorim giving the green light for United to go for this guy, but again, easier said than done. We've got updates on Victor Osimhen. United looking at Osimhen and Ekitike ahead of sort of maybe Gyokeres' deal being off. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, and update roundup. I do apologise if there are any connection issues throughout today's video. There's issues with the software I'm using at the moment. It isn't actually my Wi-Fi being Glazer Wi-Fi for a change, so I do apologise if there's lag spikes or blur. But look, this is your late night, very late night, because it's 11:15 at the time recording this transfer roundup. I'm going to round up all the news that you need to know, this big late night update from Romano in 10 minutes. I'm going to be live tomorrow with the morning updates and everything. So if you want to stay up to date, feel free to subscribe. So let's get into this. Now, this is the actual tweet. This is actually quite different to the context Romano gave in his video, but the tweet that he put out, the people reacting to, and this came out like 3 hours ago. So this is sort of old news, but there's a lot of news coming out since that is new news. So we're going to get to that. But that was the not that one, sorry. That was this one, sorry. So this is what he said in his video. This is what Romano tweeted. Sorry, not that. I'm going to get into that in a second, but this. Victor Gyokeres' priority to join Arsenal this summer, despite calls from United in recent weeks. Gyokeres always an option. Ahmed Sesko talks with no deals sealed so far. Arsenal keep assessing the situation. United remain keen, but believe deal is now unlikely. So United believing the deal is unlikely, I guess, is United assuming that Arsenal will pick Gyokeres over Sesko. I don't know about that. I've always felt that they were going to go for Sesko, to be completely honest. But the weird thing about this from Romano, it's almost like he wants to get the clicks from the Arsenal fans, because then he says in YouTube, if for more context, he says the message coming from those close to United is that Victor Gyokeres is giving priority to Arsenal. I said in my video that I didn't believe that he'd rejected Manchester United. I said in my live stream yesterday, I don't think he's rejected Man United. I don't believe Record Portugal on that. But I do believe that if Arsenal didn't go for Sesko and went for Gyokeres, he'd pick Arsenal over us. I've said I don't believe that he's rejected us, and I don't believe that he's rejected us. I don't believe that he said no, but I said if Arsenal drop Sesko and go for Gyokeres, I think Arsenal front runners. Because the minute Arsenal were advancing on Sesko, all of a sudden we were in the Gyokeres race, and I said that earlier. I said I don't believe he's rejected us. I don't believe that news story, but I believe that if Arsenal didn't get Sesko, we could miss out. But I always feel like Arsenal were going to get Sesko. And Romano did say it's not a no, I'm not coming to United. It's just him prioritising Arsenal, but it depends what happens with Sesko. Now, I don't really want to bring in a player that is saying to us, if Arsenal sign Sesko, I'll come. But if Arsenal don't sign Sesko, I'm going to Arsenal. That is giving red flags. Like, I like Victor Gyokeres, but I want to make sure that he's keen to join Manchester United. It's not, oh, if Arsenal don't get me, I'll come to Man United. I don't like that. And even this Amorim, he said, Gyokeres deal, I haven't spoke to him, but if the player only wants to come to United to play Champions League football, then he won't come. We want players who want to represent United, not players who want to play certain competitions. And Mbeumo, rejected Champions League clubs for United. Cunha's done the same. That's United's stance. We want players that are coming to play for United, not, oh, I'd rather go to Arsenal, but yeah, if United's on the table, I'll go there. Like, we do not want that. We do not want that. So, yeah. Not too concerned in regards to, I would have liked Gyokeres. I always said Osimhen I prefer, but Gyokeres seemed more realistic. Look, we can still get Gyokeres. It's not off. If Arsenal get Sesko, Gyokeres is back on. But I'm put off now. I'm put off. Like, I always felt that if Arsenal didn't get Sesko and went for him, he'd probably put them over us, but I'm put off now. I would rather us go for Osimhen. I'd probably rather Gyokeres than Ekitike when you look at the price of Ekitike. If Ekitike is 50 million, boom. But it's not the end of the world. There's issues with his touch. There's issues with him in small space. I would have liked Gyokeres. I would have thought it was a good deal. But there were reasons that people had concerns around it. As said, United's interest remains in Gyokeres, but it could be difficult with him prioritising Arsenal. But the story between him and United's not dead. Some people think it's over. Some people think it's Arsenal guaranteed. It's not. The story between Gyokeres and United is far from over, far from over. But it's very much he wants Arsenal, and you know, if he wants Arsenal, adios, baby. So let's continue into other things. Now, Pete Hall is saying that not everyone at United hierarchy was totally convinced on Gyokeres. Now, for me, this does sort of smell of like PR, we've lost out, PR, la la la. It does smell. Oh, we've got really bad connection issues here. I feel like the connection's just dropped. I'm hoping the video comes alright, but again, the streaming software is really playing up connection-wise tonight. But again, with Gyokeres, look, we wanted him. There was definitely people in the hierarchy that had concerns. There are concerns over Gyokeres, but Amorim wanted him. The main people wanted him. Like Newcastle was saying they never wanted Mbeumo and Cunha. It stinks of PR. I think there's a couple people in the hierarchy that will think this is a blessing in disguise. I think Amorim will be upset. So let's talk about potential replacements, and then we're going to talk about Bryan Mbeumo. So it has been said that Manchester United have made contacts to be informed about the Hugo Ekitike situation, and Frankfurt want 100 million euros. 100 million euros, I think, is 84 million pounds. We are not playing that for another young striker. If Ekitike was 25 at the top of his game, 3 good seasons in a row with 30 plus goals, you can play 85 million. But we can't play 85 million for another young striker when we spent that money on Højlund and it just came back and bit us. I think we need a ready-made, and that's why I would go with Osimhen if his wages aren't going to be totally ridiculous. I would go for Victor Osimhen. But Romano, interestingly, saying we're in for the Ekitike in for Ekitike. We're keeping an eye on his situation. We know he's a big Manchester United fan. Now, obviously, Florian Plettenberg said yesterday we're in for Ekitike, but they said, are we in for him to get Sporting to lower the Gyokeres fee? Are we actually in for him? I thought it was paper talk, but no. Our interest in Ekitike is genuine. Romano said that in the last 2 to 3 days, we asked to be informed on him. We want to speak about it, speak with the agent. So what I think is good to see is, okay, Gyokeres has indicated Arsenal is his preference, and we're already moving and having talks with Ekitike. That's what I like from United. Santi even said earlier today that talks between Ekitike and Hugo Ekitike's agent at United have become more concrete in the past 2 days, and there has been positive conversations. United have spoken to Frankfurt and are aware of the conditions of the deal as well. So interestingly, Ekitike is heating up, so maybe there could be something in that. We know in general that obviously after receiving signs that Gyokeres prefers Arsenal, we've now initiated contact with Ekitike and his agent. He is an alternative. We were linked to him before, Gyokeres and Delap as well. He's always been on the list. Amorim has given the green light for a potential move. He likes the player. Gyokeres is who he wants, but he likes Ekitike. Ekitike is a boyhood Man United fan. He was asked his dream club. He said Manchester United a couple of years back. Frankfurt want 85 million. United will not pay that outright. United probably want to do a deal in the 65 million range over instalments. And the deal was only possible if the fee comes down and payable in instalments. The fact that so many clubs are in for him and no one's going to pay 85 million means that I think the fee could come down to maybe 70 million. And 70 million is still too expensive, but it may be something United would consider in instalments over 5 years. Look, I love the player. But it's the price. And I think when we need someone experienced and he's still very young and still very raw, and Bundesliga is very different to the Premier League, it is too much of a risk to spend that money on him. The interest is serious. We like him, but he isn't the only option on the table either. You could get Mateta for half the price, and that's something United are going to have to think of. What is the price for this guy? Now, talking of the next signing should be Bryan Mbeumo. There has been no formal bid for Bryan Mbeumo from Tottenham, but there's been verbal contact between the clubs. So Tottenham and Brentford have had contact, but Tottenham haven't put in a bid. They probably haven't put in a bid because they think, what's the point of putting in a bid? Because if Brentford accept the bid, we still need to get approval from Mbeumo, who said, I want Man United. He hasn't rejected Tottenham, but he said to them, my preference is United. Still now, with Thomas Frank coming in, he's made it clear his preference is United. So Tottenham are moving on. They're getting the deal done for Tell. They're looking at Dibbling. They're looking at Semenyo. But they're there, and they're hoping United walk away from the race so they can get him. But United haven't walked out now. And I think missing out on Gyokeres says, for me, United aren't going to walk away from Mbeumo. They're actually going to go back in harder. Now, the information I've got on Mbeumo exclusively from good sources is that United are preparing a second bid for Mbeumo. The club are pushing to wrap up a deal quickly with growing confidence a deal can be struck soon. Despite these rumours, there has confidence inside United. But we are targeting 50 plus 10 or 55 plus 5 structure. We don't really want to pay over 60 million. We could push to 62.5 to get it done with pressure. We don't want to pay up the 70 million. Brentford are holding out for 60 million base fee and add-ons taking it to 68, 70 million pounds. However, Mbeumo said to Spurs his preference is United. He's not rejected Spurs, but he said my preference is United. And United hope that Mbeumo's desire to join is going to help them. It's going to help make the deal easier to do, secure it. And hopefully closer to 50 million, 50 plus 10 is what United would like. 45 plus 10 was the first bid. Now, talks could accelerate after the Gyokeres setback as well. That's expected that we now are going to put more effort into getting Mbeumo done, and we're planning on making a new bid around 55 plus 5 to test Brentford, although we're not going to make that bid if we felt that Brentford would straight up reject it. But 55 plus 5 or in around that region, we're set to make a new bid for Mbeumo to test the waters. The Muppeteer said the whole thing is a bit of a game between Brentford and Spurs to push United in regards to Mbeumo as well, and that United would still like to get a deal done for Mbeumo as soon as possible. Confirmation of a second bid could come after the window June 16th, so other sources have been talking of a second bid for Mbeumo. We also got an update from Rudy Gillette today to say that 8 clubs have contacted Victor Osimhen, and Manchester United is one of them. Osimhen isn't in a rush to decide, but Manchester United have contacted Osimhen and are interested. Thank you for watching today's video. That is all the latest Manchester United news rounded up into 10 minutes. See you next time. Bye.